The Draxan battle fleet arrived at Hanara Prime just as Minsu and Biaol were preparing for their rescue mission. Dozens of massive warships filled the sky, their weapons pointed at the planet below. Admiral Krog Vex commanded the fleet from his flagship. He was a veteran warrior with scars covering his armored face. His message to the human government was simple and direct. Surrender the human and his dragon immediately. They pose an unacceptable threat to galactic security. If you refuse, we will take them by force. President Chen Wook stood in the emergency command center, watching the alien warships through the windows. His military advisors were terrified. The human colonial navy could not fight the entire Draxan fleet. "We have to give them Minsu," General Park said quietly. "We cannot risk war over one man and his pet." That man and his pet might be the key to a better future for all of us, Dr. Yoon argued. If we surrender them now, we lose everything we have learned about human-alien bonding. While the politicians argued, Minsu was loading supplies into a small transport ship. Biol sat next. To him, her scales bright with determination. They both knew this might be their last mission together. Jinho came to see them off. The old noodle shop owner had tears in his eyes. "This is crazy, my friend," Jinho said. "The Draxan frigate is lost. Even if you reach it, the soldiers inside will probably try to kill you." "Maybe," Minsu said, "but we have to try. Those soldiers are someone's children, someone's friends. They deserve a chance to live." The transport ship lifted off just as Admiral Krogvex was issuing his final ultimatum. The human government had 1 hour to surrender Minsu and Biol, or the Draxan fleet would begin bombing human cities. But Minsu's ship was already jumping to hyperspace, heading for the coordinates where the damaged frigate was drifting. News. Networks across the galaxy followed the story. Billions of beings watched as a human civilian and his dragon attempted the impossible. Some hoped they would succeed. Others hoped they would fail and prove that humans were not as special as they claimed. The Draxan medical frigate was a nightmare of twisted metal and failing systems. The ship had been caught in an experimental weapon test that created gravity, distortions. The hull was folded in impossible ways. Life support was failing. Most of the crew was already dead, but sensors detected nearly 300 survivors trapped in the medical bay. They were dying slowly as their healing pods malfunctioned, and their air ran out. Draxan rescue ships had tried to reach them for days but failed. The damage was too complex for their technology to fix. Minsu's small transport ship approached the frigate carefully. The massive warship was spinning slowly, its broken hull reflecting starlight in strange patterns. "Are you sure about this?" Minsu asked Biol. "It looks very dangerous." Biol made her wind chime sound, but stronger than ever before. She was ready. They docked with the frigate's emergency port. Minsu put on a spacesuit while Biol activated the environmental field. That would let her survive in the damaged ship. Together, they entered the floating wreck. Inside, the frigate was chaos. Gravity worked in random directions. Corridors led into twisted knots of metal. Emergency lights flickered and died. But Biol seemed to understand the ship's structure in ways that made no sense. She led Minsu through the maze toward the medical bay. They found the survivors in terrible condition. Draxan soldiers filled dozens of healing pods, but the machines were failing. Sparks flew from damaged circuits. Warning alarms blared constantly. The soldiers inside were dying as their life support systems shut down one by one. "How can we fix all of this?" Minsu whispered. The damage was overwhelming. Biol walked to the center of the medical bay. She closed her eyes and spread her small wings. Then she began to sing. Her voice was unlike anything Minsu had ever heard. It was not just sound, but something deeper. The song seemed to reach into the broken machinery and understand what each part was meant to do. Slowly, impossibly, the healing pods began to work properly. Circuits repaired themselves. Life support systems restarted. The dying soldiers began to stabilize. But Biol's song did more than just fix machines. It reached the minds of the wounded soldiers. They had been traumatized by the weapon test, their memories shattered by gravity distortions. Biol's healing touch restored not just their bodies, but their sanity. The rescue took 6 hours. When it was finished, all 300 soldiers were alive and healthy. The medical bay was working perfectly. Even the ship's main systems had been partially repaired. Minsu and Biol were exhausted. The dragon had used more power than ever before. But they had succeeded in saving lives that everyone else had given up on. The galaxy watched in amazement as the rescued soldiers were transferred to Draxan rescue ships. Admiral Krog Vex himself came aboard the frigate to see what had happened. The tough warrior stood in the repaired medical bay, looking at machines that his best engineers had declared unfixable. His own nephew was among the rescued soldiers. "How did you do this?" the Admiral asked Minsu. "We just showed the broken things how to be whole again," Minsu said simply. Admiral Krog Vex studied Biol, who was resting on Minsu's shoulder. The dragon looked back at him with tired but peaceful eyes. "My people were wrong," the Admiral said finally. "You are not a weapon. You are healers." The news of the rescue spread across the galaxy faster than light. The image of a human and his dragon. Saving Draxan soldiers became a symbol of hope. If humans could heal their enemies, what else might be possible? The political crisis ended overnight. The Draxan fleet withdrew with apologies instead of threats. Other species began to reconsider their fears about human abilities. Maybe empathy was not dangerous after all. 6 months later, Minsu stood in a much larger workshop on Hanara Prime. The Yunji Foundation had grown beyond anything he had imagined. Humans from across the galaxy came to learn his methods of caring for traumatized alien life forms. But these were not the corporate training programs that had been proposed earlier. Instead, they were schools of compassion. Students learned patience, empathy, and the art of seeing potential in broken things. Biol had recovered completely. She could fly between stars now, breathe fire that burned in vacuum, and manipulate reality with her songs. But she chose to stay with Minsu, helping him teach others about the power of gentle healing. The workshop was filled with both human and alien students. A young Vorthak learned to sing lullabies to frightened creatures. A reformed Draxan warrior practiced the art of gentle touch. Even a few Nalari energy beings had taken physical forms so they could study empathic healing. In Iya, one corner of the workshop, a new student was working with a damaged Kalari translator. The device had been producing random noise for years, but under patient care, it was beginning to create beautiful music instead. "Remember," Minsu told his students, "nothing is truly broken. Some things just need time and love to remember what they were meant to be." Biol sang softly from her perch near the window. Her song mixed with the sounds of learning and healing that filled the workshop. Outside, ships from dozens of worlds brought more broken things and broken beings to be healed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from a lonely widower and his dragon friend. The most powerful force in the universe was not weapons or technology or conquest. It was the simple act of caring for something that others had given up on. And in his quiet moments, when the workshop was empty and Biol was curled up beside him, Minsu would look at Unji's photo and smile. "We did it," he would tell her. "We found a way to turn broken things into something beautiful." The dragon would sing her agreement, and together they would plan for another day of healing the galaxy, one broken heart at a time. News about Minsu and Biol spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The story was too interesting for reporters to ignore. Human intuition succeeds. Where science failed became the headline on every major news network. Within days, ships from dozens of worlds arrived at Hanara Prime. Some brought scientists wanting to study Biol. Others brought government officials with legal documents. A few brought military officers with suspicious questions about human abilities. The Pyrian system government was the first to make demands. Ambassador Kith Nell arrived with a full diplomatic escort. She was a tall, elegant being with golden skin and wings like a butterfly. The Star Weaver dragon belongs with her own people, Ambassador Kith Nell announced at a press conference. Humans cannot properly care for such a magnificent creature. We demand her immediate return to Pyrian space. Minsu watched the news report from his workshop. Biol sat next to him, her scales dim with worry. She seemed to understand that people were talking about taking her away. They say you belong with other dragons, Minsu told her gently. Maybe they are right. Maybe you would be happier with your own kind. Biol made that wind chime sound again, but this time it was sad and frightened. She pressed closer to Minsu, making it clear that she did not want to leave. The next visitors were even more troubling. Representatives from Galactic Dynamics Corporation offered Minsu 50 million credits for the bonding techniques he used with Biol. They wanted to create a training program to teach humans how to repair alien technology. Think of the profits, the corporate negotiator said. Humans could become the galaxy's premier repair specialists. You would be rich beyond imagination. Biol is not a technique, Minsu said firmly. She is my friend. I cannot teach someone else how to be her friend. Military officials were the worst. General Vex Thor from the Draxan Empire wanted to study human-dragon bonding for tactical applications. He hinted that humans with dragon partners could be powerful weapons. Imagine dragon-bonded humans in space combat, the general said with gleaming eyes. No enemy could stand against such forces. Minsu refused to speak with the military visitors. The idea of turning Biol into a weapon made him feel sick. But more disturbing were the reports flooding in from across human space. The phenomenon was spreading. A human farmer on Kepler-7 had nursed a broken Nilari weather controller back to health. Now it could create perfect growing conditions instead of random storms. A human teacher on Mars had adopted a damaged Vorthak, learning crystal. Students using the crystal were gaining knowledge faster than ever before. Dr. Yoon Mija published a research paper that shocked the galaxy. She called it the human empathy factor in interspecies relations. Her theory was simple, but revolutionary. Humans had a unique combination of emotional intelligence, patience, and adaptive thinking that allowed them to connect with alien consciousness in ways other species could not. Most galactic species approach problems through logic, hierarchy, or force, Dr. Yoon explained in interviews. Humans use emotional understanding and creative problem-solving. This allows them to help traumatized or damaged alien life forms heal in ways that pure science cannot achieve. The implications terrified some species. The Draxian Empire was built on conquest and domination. If humans could heal and strengthen the weak creatures that Draxans despised, it threatened their entire way of thinking. The Vorthak Collective was equally disturbed. Their society valued pure logic and scientific method. The idea that emotional approaches might be more effective than rational analysis challenged their fundamental beliefs. Emergency sessions were called in the Galactic Council. Some species demanded that humans be restricted from owning alien life forms. Others wanted human bonding abilities to be regulated and controlled. A few suggested that humans were becoming too dangerous and should be isolated from the rest of the galaxy. Minsu found himself at the center of a political storm he never wanted to join. Security forces from the human colonial government surrounded his workshop. They said it was for his protection, but Minsu felt like a prisoner. Reporters tried to break through the security lines. Corporate negotiators offered increasingly large sums of money. Alien diplomats demanded meetings. Through it all, Minsu just wanted to be left alone with Biol. The crisis deepened when 3 more broken dragons were discovered in private collections across human space. All three had been purchased as defective specimens. All three were showing signs of recovery under human care. The bonding phenomenon was not unique to Minsu and Baeol. This news sent shockwaves through the galactic community. If humans could heal Starweaver dragons, what other impossible things might they accomplish? What did this mean for the balance of power between species? Fear began to override curiosity. The Draxan Empire assembled a battle fleet near human space. They claimed it was for security exercises, but everyone knew it was a threat. Other species began restricting trade with human colonies. Some banned humans from entering their territory. President Chen Wook of the human colonial government called an emergency cabinet meeting. The situation was becoming dangerous. If other species saw humans as a threat, it could lead to war. We need to find a solution, President Chen said. The galaxy is afraid of what we might be capable of. We need to show them we are not a threat. But how could they prove that human empathy was not dangerous? How could they convince other species that healing broken things was not the same as building weapons? The answer came from an unexpected source. Intelligence reports revealed that a Draxon medical frigate had suffered catastrophic damage during military exercises. Hundreds of soldiers were dying because their healing technology could not repair the specific type of injuries they had sustained. The frigate was considered unsalvageable. Draxan military doctrine said it should be destroyed rather than waste resources on hopeless cases. But the ship was still sending distress signals, begging for help that would never come. Minsu heard about the frigate on the news. That night, he made a decision that would change everything. We have to help them, he told Baeol. Those soldiers are dying because their own people have given up on them, just like everyone gave up on you. Baeol's scales brightened with understanding. She knew what Minsu was thinking. It was dangerous and probably impossible. But it was the right thing to do. The next morning, Minsu called a press conference. With Baeol at his side, he spoke to reporters from across the galaxy. I know everyone is afraid of what humans and Starweaver dragons might do together, he said. So I want to show you exactly what we can do. We are going to try to save the Draxan medical frigate that everyone says cannot be saved. The announcement sent shockwaves through the galactic community. A human civilian and his pet dragon were volunteering to attempt a rescue that military experts said was impossible. Some called it a publicity stunt. Others called it suicide. But Minsu and Baeol were determined to prove that their abilities were meant for healing, not destroying. They had no idea that this decision would determine the fate of human-alien relations for generations to come. Word about Minsu's amazing repair work started spreading through New Seoul. It began with small things. Kim Ha-jin, a young delivery pilot, noticed that packages passing through Minsu's district arrived in perfect condition. Electronics that should have been damaged from rough handling were somehow pristine. It is strange, Ha-jin told his friends. I dropped a cargo container full of communication devices yesterday. They should have been broken, but when the customer opened the box near that old repair shop, everything worked perfectly. Other pilots began talking about the same thing. Shipments that passed through Minsu's area seemed to fix themselves. Broken items became whole again. Old electronics started working better than when they were new. Lee Sora worked at the local research station. She studied energy patterns across the city. Her job was to monitor power usage and look for problems. But lately, her instruments showed something impossible. The energy readings from Minsu's district were far more efficient than anywhere else on the planet. Sora decided to investigate personally. She took her portable scanners and walked through the neighborhood. The readings got stronger as she got closer to a small repair shop at the edge of the district. She knocked on the shop door. An old man answered. He looked tired but kind. Hello, Sora said. I am Lee Sora from the research station. May I ask you some questions about your power usage? Minsu looked nervous. Is there a problem with my electrical bill? No problem. I am just curious about some unusual energy patterns in this area. May I come in and take some readings? Minsu hesitated. Behind him, Sora could see a small workshop filled with electronics, and curled up on a blanket near the workbench was a small dragon with rainbow scales. Is that a Star Weaver dragon? Sora asked in amazement. Yes, Minsu said quietly. Her name is Biol. I bought her at an auction. Sora stepped into the workshop. Her energy scanner immediately started beeping wildly. The readings were incredible. The dragon was generating energy patterns that should have been impossible for such a small creature. This is amazing, Sora said. The report said Star Weaver dragons found by poachers were all brain damaged, but your dragon is clearly functioning at full capacity. She was hurt when I got her, Minsu said carefully, but she is getting better with time and care. Sora spent an hour taking readings and asking questions. Biol stayed close to Minsu the whole time, watching the stranger with cautious eyes. When Sora tried to get closer, Biol hid behind the workbench. She is shy around new people, Minsu explained. After Sora left, Minsu knew his secret was out. She seemed like a good person, but she worked for the government research station. She would have to report what she found. Sure enough, 2 days later, Quelvar returned. This time, he brought more researchers and official documents. You lied to us, the Vorthak scientist said angrily. His crystal face flashed red and orange. This creature is not brain damaged. Our colleague detected massive energy outputs from your workshop. You have been hiding the dragon's true abilities. I did not lie, Minsu said. When you were here before, Biol could not use her abilities. She was too frightened. That is impossible, Quelvar said. Star Weaver dragon abilities are not affected by emotional states. They are controlled by neural pathways in the brain. Maybe your understanding is wrong, Minsu said quietly. The lead researcher looked furious. Are you suggesting that human intuition knows more than Vorthak science? We have studied these creatures for centuries. I am only telling you what I have seen, Minsu said. Quelvar activated a recording device. Show us the dragon's abilities. Prove that it is not damaged. Minsu looked at Biol. She was trembling behind the workbench. Her scales turned dull gray with fear. She cannot perform when she is frightened. Your presence scares her. Then we will wait until she calms down, Quelvar said. He and his team set up monitoring equipment around the workshop. They waited for hours, but Biol remained hidden and frightened. Her energy readings stayed at almost 0. To the instruments, she looked exactly like the broken creature from the auction. This proves nothing, Quelvar finally said. Either the dragon is truly damaged, or you are using some kind of technology to fake the energy readings we detected. After the researchers left, Minsu held Biol gently. She was shaking and exhausted from the stress. I am sorry they scared you, he said. But now they think you are still broken. Maybe that is better. They will leave us alone. But Minsu was wrong. The story had already spread too far. Other researchers came asking questions. Government officials wanted to examine his repair work. News reporters tried to interview him about the miracle dragon. Most disturbing were the reports coming in from across human space. Other defective alien creatures and technologies were showing unusual behaviors around humans. A broken Kalari translator started producing beautiful poetry when owned by a human scholar. A damaged Novan energy core began creating revolutionary power patterns in a human research facility. Dr. Yoon Mija, a human scientist who studied alien psychology, visited Minsu's workshop. Unlike the other researchers, she came alone and spoke softly. I have a theory, she told Minsu. I think humans have a special ability to connect with alien consciousness. We approach problems differently than other species. We use empathy and patience instead of force and logic. I just treat Biol with kindness, Minsu said. Exactly, Dr. Yoon said. Other species see her as broken because she does not respond to their methods. But she responds to human emotional intelligence. This could change how we understand alien life forms. I do not want to change anything, Minsu said. I just want Biol to be safe and happy. I understand, Dr. Yoon said. But this discovery is bigger than just you and Biol. It could affect relations between all the species in the galaxy. That night, Minsu sat in his workshop with Biol on his lap. She was finally calm and her scales were bright with rainbow colors. But he was worried about the future. What are we going to do, little star? He asked her. Everyone wants to study you or take you away. They do not understand that you just need love and patience to heal. Biol looked up at him with those large, intelligent eyes. Then she did something she had never done before. She made a soft sound, like singing wind chimes. It was the first time she had tried to communicate with him using her voice. I know, Minsu said, understanding somehow what she was trying to tell him. We will face whatever comes together, but I will never let them treat you like a broken thing again. Outside, ships were landing at the spaceport. More researchers, more government officials, more people who wanted to understand the miracle of the human and his dragon. Some of them meant well. Others had different plans. The quiet life in the little repair shop was about to end. But the bond between Minsu and Biol had grown strong enough to face whatever challenges were coming. Neither of them knew that their story would soon reach the highest levels of galactic government, or that powerful forces were already moving to control what they had discovered together. The transport ship arrived at Hanara Prime late in the evening. Minsu carried Biol's container carefully through the spaceport. The little dragon had not moved much during the trip. She just watched everything with those large, quiet eyes. Back in his workshop, Minsu set the container on his workbench and opened it slowly. Biol did not try to run away. She just sat there looking around at all the broken electronics and spare parts. This is my home, Minsu told her. It is not much, but it is safe and warm. He had spent the trip thinking about what dragons might need. The auction papers said Star Weavers ate rare metals. Minsu did not have expensive metals, but he had some copper wire and a few small pieces of silver from old circuits. He placed the metals on a small plate and set it near Biol. She sniffed. Them once but did not eat. Instead, she climbed out of the container and walked around the workshop. Her movements were slow and careful, like someone who was still hurt. Minsu watched her explore. The dragon was beautiful, even if she seemed broken. Her scales changed. Colors in the workshop lights, shifting from blue to green to purple. Her small wings made tiny sounds when she moved, like wind through leaves. Are you hungry? Minsu asked. Or maybe thirsty? Biol looked at him but did not respond. Minsu remembered that dragons were supposed to be very intelligent. Maybe she understood him but could not answer back because of her injuries. He set up a comfortable sleeping area for her using old blankets and a heating pad. Biol sniffed the blankets and then curled up on them. For the first time since he had seen her, she looked relaxed. That night, Minsu could not sleep well. He kept checking on Biol to make sure she was okay. She seemed to be resting peacefully, but he worried about taking care of a creature he did not understand. The next morning, Minsu started his usual work routine. Biol woke up when he turned on his workbench lights. She watched him as he organized his tools and started fixing a broken music player. I fix things, Minsu explained to her while he worked. People bring me their broken electronics, and I try to make them work again. It is simple work, but I enjoy it. Biol moved closer to the workbench. She seemed interested in what he was doing. When Minsu had trouble with a particularly small screw, Biol moved even closer and watched carefully. Days passed this way. Biol followed Minsu around the workshop. She watched him work. She ate small amounts of the metals he gave her, but she never did anything that seemed magical or special. She was just a quiet, gentle creature who liked to be near him. Jinho visited on the third day. He was amazed to see the dragon. This is what you bought at the auction? Jinho asked. She is beautiful. Does she do anything special? She keeps me company, Minsu said. That is special enough. But I thought dragons could do incredible things. Fly through space, breathe fire, change reality. Maybe she will get better with time, Minsu said. Right now, she just needs care and patience. Jinho shook his head. You always were too kind to broken things, but I suppose she makes a good pet. After Jinho left, Minsu noticed that Biol seemed sad. She had hidden behind the workbench when the visitor came. Now she sat in the corner, looking small and frightened. It is okay, Minsu told her. Jinho is a good man. He was just curious. You do not have to be afraid here. That evening, while Minsu worked late on a complex repair job, something unexpected happened. He was trying to fix a quantum processor that powered hover cars. The circuits were damaged in ways that made no sense. Connections that should work perfectly kept failing. Minsu had been working on it for hours. His old eyes were tired, and his hands were starting to shake from strain. He was ready to give up when Biol walked over to the workbench. She looked at the broken processor for a long moment. Then she reached out with one small claw and gently touched one of the circuit boards. Suddenly, all the connections aligned perfectly. The quantum processor hummed to life with a sound more beautiful than any Minsu had ever heard. The device was not just fixed. It was working better than new. Minsu stared at Biol in amazement. You did that. You fixed it just by touching it. Biol looked up at him with those large eyes. For the first time, they did not look dim or empty. They looked bright and intelligent, and maybe a little proud. You are not broken at all, Minsu whispered. You were just hurt and scared, but you are getting better. From that night on, things changed. Biol began to help Minsu with his repair, work. She could not fix everything, but when she touched certain devices, they worked better than they ever had before. She seemed to understand how electronic circuits were supposed to flow, how energy wanted to move, but her abilities only worked when she felt safe and calm. If strangers were around, or if there was too much noise or stress, Biol became the quiet, dim creature from the auction. Her magic only appeared when she trusted the people around her. Minsu kept this discovery secret. Something told him that other people might not understand. They might want to study Biol or take her away. They might think he was lying or using tricks to make his repairs work better. 2 weeks after the quantum processor incident, 3 aliens came to his shop. They wore the blue uniforms of the Galactic Research Institute. The leader was a tall Vorthak with crystal skin that flashed different colors when he spoke. I am Quelvar, the Vorthak said. We are here about the damaged Star Weaver dragon you purchased at auction. Minsu felt his heart beat faster. What about her? We study rare creatures. We heard that a human bought a broken dragon. We want to examine it for our research. Biol had hidden behind the workbench as soon as the strangers entered. Minsu could see her trembling with fear. She is not feeling well today, Minsu said. Maybe you could come back another time. This will only take a few minutes, Quelvar said. He walked toward where Biol was hiding. We need to take some samples and run a few tests. No, Minsu said firmly. You will frighten her. She has been through enough trauma already. Quelvar looked annoyed. His crystal face flashed red. The creature is brain damaged. It cannot be frightened by scientific procedures. We are offering to buy it from you for scientific research. The price will be much more than you paid. She is not for sale, Minsu said. The other 2 researchers exchanged looks. One of them, a blue Nalari, floated closer to examine Biol. The medical reports were correct. Severe neural damage, no signs of higher brain function. It is basically a very expensive pet now. We could take some tissue samples without harming it, the 3rd researcher suggested. For the good of science. No samples, Minsu said. "No tests. Please leave my shop." Quelvar's crystal face flashed angry red colors. "You are being unreasonable. This creature could provide valuable information about Starweaver biology. Keeping it as a pet is a waste of a rare specimen." "She is not a specimen," Minsu said. "She is a living being who deserves peace and kindness." After the researchers left, Biol slowly came out from hiding. She was shaking and her scales had turned dull gray. Minsu picked her up gently and held her close. "They are gone," he said softly. "You are safe here. I will not let anyone hurt you." That night, as Biol slept on her blankets, Minsu thought about what the researchers had said. They saw her as broken, worthless, good only for scientific study. They could not imagine that she might heal with time and care. But Minsu had seen her true abilities. He knew she was not brain damaged. She was traumatized, scared, learning to trust again. Her magic came from feeling safe and loved, not from being studied and tested. He made a decision that night. He would protect Biol from people who wanted to use her. He would give her time to heal completely. And he would help her discover just how amazing she really was. Neither of them knew that word about the quantum processor repair was already spreading through the city. Soon, more people would come asking questions. And some of those people would not take no for an answer. The transport ship to Station Omega-7 was crowded with beings from across the galaxy. Minsu sat in his small seat and watched the other passengers. There were tall gray Vorthak with their crystal faces, short blue Nalari that looked like moving clouds. Even a few Draxan soldiers with their metal armor and sharp teeth. Most of the passengers were wealthy. They wore expensive clothes and talked about rare items they wanted to buy. Minsu felt out of place in his simple work clothes. But he was excited. This was the first time he had left his planet in 3 years. Station Omega-7 was huge. It floated in space between 2 star systems. Ships came and went like busy insects. The station had shops, hotels, restaurants, and the famous auction house. Everything was clean and new and expensive looking. Minsu followed the signs to the auction hall. The building was enormous. Inside, hundreds of beings sat in comfortable chairs facing a large stage. Above the stage, holographic displays showed items being sold. The auctioneer was a Vorthak, whose crystal body flashed different colors when he spoke. "Welcome to Day 2 of our monthly surplus auction," the auctioneer announced. His voice was translated into dozens of languages at once. "Today we feature damaged and defective items from across known space. Remember, all sales are final. No returns or refunds." Minsu found an empty seat near the back. The prices amazed him. Even broken items cost more than he made in a month. He watched wealthy collectors bid on things they would never use. It was like a game to them. The first item was a Kalari translator that was supposed to convert any language instantly, but this one only spoke in ancient poetry. The bidding started at 50,000 credits. A rich woman from the inner colonies bought it for 75,000. She said it would look nice in her art collection. Next came a Draxian healing pod. These devices could fix almost any injury, but this one grew flowers instead of healing wounds. A plant collector bought it for 40,000 credits. He said the flowers were very rare and beautiful. Then they brought out a Novan energy core. Novan technology was the most advanced in the galaxy. Their energy cores could power entire cities, but this one just made pretty light patterns instead of useful energy. An artist bought it for 30,000 credits to use in sculptures. Minsu realized something sad. These beings had incredible technology and abilities, but when the technology broke, they just threw it away. They did not try to understand what went wrong. They did not try to fix it or find a new use for it. They just sold it to someone else or put it in a collection. The auction continued for hours. Minsu saw amazing broken things. A music machine that played sounds no one had heard before. A communication device that could reach other dimensions but only got static. A food maker that created meals that changed flavor while you ate them. All of these items were called defective, but Minsu could see possibilities in them. The music machine might be creating new forms of art. The communication device might be picking up signals from unknown places. The food maker might be combining flavors in ways no one had thought of before. Then the auctioneer announced, Lot 847. Next, we have a creature from the Pyrian system, one of the legendary Starweaver dragons. Two workers rolled a large container onto the stage. Inside was a small dragon-like creature about the size of a house cat. Its scales were many colors that shifted and changed in the light. It had large eyes that looked dim and sad. Small wings were folded against its body. The auctioneer continued his description. Starweaver dragons are among the most powerful beings in known space. They can fly between stars, breathe fire that burns in vacuum, and manipulate reality itself. However, this specimen was rescued from poachers and appears to have suffered severe neural damage. The dragon sat quietly in its container. It did not try to escape. It did not make any sounds. It just looked around with those large, tired eyes. The creature cannot fly, produce fire, or demonstrate any of its species' legendary abilities. Medical scans show extensive brain damage that our best scientists say is permanent. Essentially, this is a very expensive pet that eats rare metals and requires constant care. The bidding started at 50,000 credits, but as potential buyers realized the dragon really was broken, the price dropped quickly. At 10,000 credits, most bidders lost interest. At 5,000, only a few people were still bidding. Minsu watched the little dragon. It reminded him of himself after Yunji died. Lost, broken, sitting alone while the world moved on around it. Everyone could see it was damaged. Everyone thought it was worthless. But Minsu saw something else. The dragon was not trying to perform for the crowd. It was not begging for attention. It was just enduring. Just surviving, just waiting for something better to happen. The price dropped to 2,000 credits, then 1,000, then 500. Do I hear 600? The auctioneer asked. He sounded bored now. This was clearly the least popular item of the day. Without thinking, Minsu raised his hand. 600, he called out. Several beings turned to look at him. Some laughed. A Draxan merchant shook his head and made a comment about foolish humans wasting money on broken things. 600 from the human in Section 12, the auctioneer said. Do I hear 700? The hall was quiet. No one else wanted a broken dragon. Going once, going twice, sold to the human for 600 credits. Minsu could not believe what he had done. 600 credits was a lot of money for him. It was the price of a good hover bike. But something about the dragon had made him act without thinking. Other beings continued to laugh and talk about the stupid human who bought a worthless creature. But Minsu did not care about their opinions. He went to the payment desk and used his credit chip to pay for his purchase. A few minutes later, workers brought him the dragon's container. It was a travel cage with air holes and a small water dispenser. The dragon looked up at him with those large eyes. For the first time since he had seen it, the creature moved. It tilted its head slightly, as if asking a question. Hello, little one, Minsu said quietly. My name is Minsu. I think you need a friend. The dragon continued to watch him. Minsu thought he saw something in its eyes. Not the dull emptiness the auctioneer had described. Something deeper, something waiting. I will call you Biol, Minsu said. Biol meant star in Korean. You are a star weaver, so you should have a star name. Biol blinked slowly. It was not much of a response, but it was something. As Minsu carried the container toward the transport ships, He wondered what he was going to do with a broken dragon. He lived alone in a small workshop. He barely made enough money to support himself. Now, he had a creature that ate rare metals and needed constant care. But when he looked at Biol again, he remembered something Yunji used to say. She said that broken things were not worthless. They were just waiting for someone who could see their hidden value, someone who was willing to be patient and gentle and caring. Maybe this little dragon was not broken at all. Maybe it was just waiting for the right person to help it heal. As the transport ship prepared to leave Station Omega-7, Minsu sat with Biol's container on his lap. He was going home with the strangest purchase of his life, but somehow it felt like the right thing to do. Neither of them knew that this moment would change the galaxy forever. The morning sun came through the dirty windows of Minsu's repair shop. Dust danced in the light beams as the old man turned on his workbench lamp. Another day of fixing broken things was about to begin. Kang Minsu was 67 years old. His hair had gone gray 3 years ago when his wife Yunji died. Now he spent most of his time alone in the small shop at the edge of New Seoul. The city was built on Hanara Prime, a planet that humans had made into a new home among the stars. The shop was full of broken electronics, hover phones with cracked screens sat next to music players that would not turn on. Old cooking machines waited for new parts. Everything smelled like metal and cleaning fluid. Minsu liked the smell. It reminded him of work and purpose. He picked up a small device from yesterday. It was a translator made by the Vorthak people. The crystal beings made the best translation devices in the galaxy. But this one was dead. The human who brought it said it stopped working after she dropped it. Minsu turned the device over in his hands. His fingers were old, but still steady. He had been fixing things for 40 years. Before Yunji got sick, she used to say he could fix anything except a broken heart. She was right about that. The door chime rang. Minsu looked up to see his neighbor Park Jinho walking in. Jinho owned the noodle shop next door. He was younger than Minsu, but not by much. His face was always happy, which sometimes made Minsu feel tired. "Good morning, old friend," Jinho said. He carried 2 cups of tea. "I brought you breakfast tea." Minsu nodded and took the cup. The tea was hot and good. "Thank you, Jinho. Any news from the city today?" Jinho sat down on the old chair, next to the workbench. "Did you hear about the auction happening on Station Omega-7? They are selling all kinds of alien things. Broken spaceship parts, strange machines, even some creatures." "Creatures?" Minsu asked. He kept working on the translator while he talked. "Yes. The news said they rescue things from criminals and smugglers. Then they sell whatever they cannot fix or use. Most of it is damaged goods, but some people like to buy exotic things." Jinho drank his tea. "Maybe you should go. You are good at fixing broken things." Minsu shook his head. "I fix electronics, not living creatures. And I do not have money for exotic purchases. The prices are very low for damaged items. And transportation is cheap now that the new jump gates are working." Jinho stood up. "Think about it. When did you last leave this workshop for something fun?" After Jinho left, Minsu kept thinking about the auction. He had not left Hanara Prime since Yunji's funeral. Every day was the same. Wake up, open the shop, fix things, close the shop, eat dinner alone, sleep. He missed talking to someone who understood him. Yunji used to love alien cultures. She collected small art pieces from different worlds. Their apartment still had her collection. A singing crystal from Vorthak space, a color-changing sculpture from the Nalari gas clouds, a music box from Earth that played old Korean songs. Minsu put down his tools and walked to the wall where he kept photos of Yunji. In the pictures, she was always smiling. Even when she got sick, she smiled. She told him to keep living after she was gone, to find new things to enjoy, to not spend his life hiding in the workshop. Maybe I should go see what they have, he said to her photo. The translator suddenly made a sound. Minsu looked down. A small green light was blinking. He had fixed it without realizing. His hands had kept working while his mind was thinking about other things. He tested the device. It worked perfectly, better than before, actually. The sound was clearer and the response time was faster. Minsu had a gift for understanding how things were supposed to work. Even alien technology made sense to him after he studied it long enough. Most aliens thought humans were okay at fixing things, but nothing special. The Vorthak were better at complex technology. The Draxan were masters of military equipment. The Nalari understood energy systems better than anyone. Humans were just average. But Minsu knew something the aliens did not understand. When you spent time with broken things, you learned to see what they could become. You learned to be patient. You learned to try different approaches until something worked. The door chime rang again. A young woman came in carrying a broken data pad. She was human but dressed like someone from the inner colonies, rich clothes and expensive jewelry. "Are you the repairman?" she asked. "Yes. What is wrong with your pad?" "It will not connect to the galactic network. I need it fixed today. I will pay extra." Minsu took the pad and looked at it. The problem was simple, but would take time to fix properly. "I can have it ready tomorrow morning." "I need it today," the woman said. Her voice was demanding. "I will pay double. The repair cannot be rushed. If I hurry, it might break again next week. Better to do it right the first time." The woman looked angry, but left the pad anyway. She had no choice. Minsu was the only repair shop in this part of the city. After she left, Minsu realized something. He was good at being patient because he had learned patience from loss. Yunji's illness taught him that some things could not be rushed. Some healing took time. Some problems needed gentle care, not force. Maybe that was why he was good at fixing things. He did not try to force solutions. He listened to what each device needed. He worked slowly and carefully. He treated broken things with respect. The afternoon passed quietly. Minsu fixed a music player and a small cooking device. He cleaned his tools and organized his parts. He ate a simple dinner while watching the news. The auction was mentioned in the news report. Hundreds of items would be sold over 3 days. Most were damaged or broken. The news reporter said it was a chance for collectors to find rare items at low prices. As he got ready for bed, Minsu made a decision. He would go to the auction, not to buy anything expensive, just to see what was there, to have a small adventure like Yunji would want him to have. He looked at her photo one more time before turning off the lights. "I will go see the broken things," he told her. "Maybe I will find something interesting." He did not know that this decision would change everything, not just for him, but for the entire galaxy. All because a lonely old man wanted to see what kinds of broken things other people had given up on. Sometimes the smallest decisions create the biggest changes, and sometimes the best discoveries come from the most unexpected places.